Welcome to the City. I'm Anthony Wilson, the Public Information Officer for the City of San Angelo. And joining us for the full episode today is one of our City Council members, the Councilman from District 4, Don Vardeman. Don, thanks for being with us.
You bet it. No problem.
Now, for people who may not know you, I'd like you just to take a few moments to introduce yourself and tell folks whatever you'd like them to know about you.
Okay. Lifelong San Angelo resident, educated in all of San Angelo schools, started out at Bradford, went through Lakeview, ASU, and then became an inspector and then an investigator and then the fire marshal for the fire marshal's office. So in order to get those, you attend classes at A&M University and get to be an Aggie temporarily. And so I did all those sort of things, retired after almost 32 years with the city, and had a brain seizure and decided to run for the city council. So,
well, I do want to correct you on one thing, because I'm an Aggie, and once you're an Aggie, you're always an Aggie. There are no temporary Aggies.
Right.
So now I know you're joking, obviously, about the brain seizure.
Right.
Talk a little bit about why you wanted to run for city council.
Well, I had ran for 5 terms as school board trustee during my tenure with the city, and I always enjoyed public service. I felt like my job as fire marshal was a servant kind of position because it was law enforcement, it was making things safe for our citizens. And so after I retired for a little while, I realized that I really missed that. And I was flipping houses, still in flipping houses on the side, but I just missed that service to our community. So whenever the position came open for single member District 4, I decided, well, I need to get back into it, and so I ran.
Did you have a particular interest to serve on the city council, having already served on the school district? I assume you weren't as interested in going back to that as maybe exploring something new and something you were familiar with the city.
Right. After working with the councils, the different ones for all those years, going before them, those sort of things, one of the things that kind of spurred me on was I served on the grand jury. And of course, for years I had been before them, and to serve with them was a whole different perspective. And that kind of more or less got me to thinking about this position and serving on the council. And one of the things, a lot of people look at us as leaders, and I look at us as representatives. The way I think about our local government is we're here to serve the people that live in our districts. And so I try to do that first and then represent the citizenry of San Angelo as a whole.
You mentioned about going before the councils. Describe a little bit about what your experience was like as a city employee, as the fire marshal, going before the city council and making presentations and making recommendations to them.
Well, it was always pleasant. I always enjoyed it. Trying to, mainly it was for ordinances. We would write ordinances that we thought would, once again, help our citizenry. And so consequently, whenever I went before them, I would try to make them understand that this was something that was viable, something that was important, and something that needed to happen for San Angelo.
Were there any issues in particular that spurred you to run, aside from your interest, just to serve the public in a different way?
Of course, the 2 main things I ran on was number 1, water, and number 2, our streets. Our water situation absolutely scares me to death, and I thought, if you can't really, stand outside and look in and not be of help to people unless you volunteer and get in there and get in the middle of it. And so consequently, that's what I did. Along with that, I'm still working to help our streets. We devoted quite a bit more money this year from our budget to our streets, but what I'm hoping to do is to look a little deeper, look at our half-cent sales tax, and see if we can't take a portion of that for our streets in order to get them up to par and then to maintain them after that. I know years ago we had our own maintenance crew for our streets, And at that time, we went over every street seal coating or replacing once every 7 years. And that's my goal, is to actually get in there and hopefully get that going so that we have some sort of a progression with our streets.
You mentioned that you served 5 terms on the San Angelo Independent School District Board of Trustees. How does this experience as a city council member compare to serving as a school trustee?
Well, there's a little bit of difference there. You don't have mad mamas calling you about cheerleader uniforms and some of those sort of things, but you still have upset people that call you. With the school board, a lot of times you never heard from your constituents unless there was something that was really going wrong with one of their children. Then they would call you, ask for advice, and you'd try to help them as best you can. This is just as personal. If somebody's having a problem, once again, with the street, or they get an excessive water bill, they're just as passionate and want it fixed just as badly. So really, it's pretty much apples and apples. It's just the thought process and what is involved is a little bit different.
Do you feel like that experience on the school board is helping you as a city council member?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You know, it's more or less a chain of command type situation, along with the fact that as a city employee for so long, I was able to know almost all the people within the city, and so it makes it much more easier whenever I get a complaint. I know, you call Sam or Joe or Susie or which way to direct their calls to try to help them. And that's what I always try to do. I try to put my constituents, the people of San Angelo, in touch with the right people that can help them. And then, of course, I always tell them if that doesn't work, if they hit a problem, then to call me back and I'll personally attend to their needs.
You said you also served 32 years in the fire marshal's office. How do you think that experience is benefiting you as a city council member, both having served as the fire marshal, but also just as a city employee?
Well, I think, whenever you have 5 inspectors out in the public, a normal inspector will do around 5 inspections a day. So you multiply that times 5. You have people that are upset quite a bit there too. And so you learn how to handle people, how to help people. And like I said, it's basically the same thing as what I'm doing here on the council.
With all that experience with the city, you obviously have a depth of knowledge about what happens in the city and the processes. But there are other issues that you have to deal with that you didn't have to deal with as fire marshal that you're having to deal with as a city council member. How steep has that learning curve been?
Well, once again, reverting back to my school board trustee days, you still have basically a panel of 7, and you can have the best idea in the world, and until you convince 3 other people that are sitting up there with you that it is the best idea, it doesn't make any difference. So I think that's one of the challenges both directions, whether you're on the council or any other board or committee. You have to have the majority to side with you, think, yeah, that's right, and you with them, in order to make everything go forward.
Of course, you have a lot of new members on the city council right now, and of course, Mayor Morrison, who served on the council for a long time, but is in a fairly new role now. How do you think that has affected or impacted how the council has done business to date, having so many new members and a new mayor?
Well, new members, yes and no. In actuality, there's only one new member. Marty South and Winky Wardlaw had both served on the council before, and so they're more or less familiar. I think it brings a little bit of a new perspective. I think this council tends to think outside the box a little more than some of the previous ones. Sometimes I wonder if that's good or bad, but I know this council, their heart's in the right place, and they're trying to do the best that they possibly can.
How much time do you spend studying for each council meeting?
Oh gosh. Of course, our our background information is computerized, but we normally get several hundred pages of background material in our agendas. It's nothing for me to spend 8 to 12 hours on preparing for a particular meeting. Of course, during the budget time, looking through the entire city budget, I spent, probably 2 weeks, pretty much all time on that, trying to look through it. And of course, here again, a budget is a budget, but the applications are different from the school board and the city. And so I had meetings with our accountants and our budget managers in order to make sure I was understanding exactly where the funds were going and where they were coming from.
What surprised you most so far about serving on the city council?
Surprised me the most. It seems really funny for the people that I've known for a long time to say, "Yes, sir, Councilman."
Such as myself.
Such as yourself, yes.
We've been talking with Councilman Don Vardeman. We'll return with him to talk some more here in a moment. But first, we're going to spotlight another outstanding city employee, Carlos Santos from our Senior Services Division.
My name is Carlos Santos. I work for the Senior Division. I've been working here for 3 years. Well, a lot of them tell me it's public service, and I love public service. I've been working, I love it. I started off in the recreation department, and then they moved me with the Senior Division about a year and a half ago. We have seniors that come and exercise. I mean, I challenge anybody to come. And they do from 3 to 5 miles, 6 miles a day. They get on the treadmill just like anybody else. Within their 85, 86, 87-year-old people. So that's pretty, that's what I like about my job, and that's admiring. I open the buildings from 8 to 5, Monday to Friday, and I take the nutrition, as you can see. I take payments, I do deposits, I do everything pretty much that consists of helping them out, getting them asking, if they ask me questions, I help them out whatever they need. It's funny because I never had grandparents, and when I moved to San Angelo, when I started working here, I have a full roster now, and you know what? The funny thing is that they bring me food every single day. Since I've been working here, I think I have gained about 7 or 8 pounds every single day. I feel I could relate more to them than people my age, because they lived through the life already. And I have 2 seniors, 2 people that come, and they ran the Boston Marathon when they were 30, 35. So that's pretty admiring. And they still come and exercise every single day. They, like I said, they do 5 to 7 miles every day, and that's something I admire. I don't call it my job, I call it more of it's family, and that's what I like about my job. How active they are. That's when I moved down here. When I started working, I was impressed how active they are. They exercise a little bit more than me, I think. The Thanksgiving luncheon, which is the biggest luncheon we have for the year, is coming up. It's November the 15th, and we have anywhere from 200 to 250 seniors that come in and lunch. Well, for guests, it's going to be $5, and for members, it's going to be $3. And I think that's the biggest. And I also have local businesses that support our bingo prizes, and which they seem to like that a lot. Yeah, it's really good. We have it from 11 to 12:30 every Monday to Friday, and on Fridays we have frozen meals, and seniors seem to like it a lot. I lived here 4 years. I came to ASU, graduated, and now I'm here. I like to play soccer. I played 2 years in college, and then I moved to ASU. I started, picking up running here in the local with the San Angelo Lizards, and I'm addicted to marathons. Believe it or not, I love marathons. I usually do 50 to 60 miles a week, and I like just to run, interacting with the people, calling bingo, the nutrition program, helping them out, and in the exercise, the activity room, the ceramics, anything that has to do with helping them. That's a good day. Running or doing a half marathon, full marathon, that's a good day of work. They look forward for the Monday. They always ask me if I did any runs during the weekend, and that's pretty neat. Right, just making somebody smile. That's that's what I take home. Knowing that you did something for somebody, that's what the rewarding part about my job.
Welcome back. We're continuing our conversation with our District 4 City Councilman, Don Vardeman. When we began this conversation, you talked about two of the issues that were really pressing you, the first one of those being water. I'd like your thoughts on San Angelo's current water situation and what you think is being done or what should be done in order to help bring more water to San Angelo.
I feel like we're doing everything that we possibly can. Of course, the wisdom of the previous councils was bringing the pipeline toward us, anticipating the lack of water that we currently are experiencing. Hopefully, all that will go smoothly as far as we're breaking ground on our purification plant. Hopefully that'll be online. Hopefully and prayerfully, we'll get 6, 8, 10 inches of rain in order to fill up our reservoirs. You know, as you put in the paper, we're through pumping water. As Nasworthy goes down, it goes down. Right now, we're pretty much dependent on Ivy, and without the Hickory coming forward, we'd just be in dire straits. I'm not sure exactly what we would do. Of course, we're in the process now of looking toward other avenues for our future water. Hopefully, Hickory goes off well, so that we can get the 9+ million gallons of water that we need a day purified and out to our citizens. I can't stress enough to our citizens how important it is to conserve water. You know, it's when we say we only have 15 months, 14 months, 13 months supply left, that's all we have. You know, without the rains, then that's it until the Hickory gets here and we get online with it.
You're a lifelong San Angeloan. Have you seen the water conditions as bad as they are right now?
No, not ever. Of course, we've had times in the past where restrictions on watering were enacted, those sort of things, but it's almost like a drop dead point, so to speak. That train is coming down the track and we're able to see the lights now, and that's the scary part.
Without divulging any sort of proprietary information, what are those different avenues for bringing more water in to San Angelo that intrigue you the most?
One of the things that I feel really good about is that our other West Texas communities are joining together to try to define what is needed, to try to look at the best resource that we can find for future water. And it's almost like the council or the school board or you know, county commission, any of those. It's people working together for the best cause, not only for their own independent cities, but for the cities in Central West Texas.
Do you think there are ways that the council will consider incentivizing conservation, which you mentioned earlier, in order to try to encourage citizens to save as much water as possible?
There's not a person on the council that would not like that. The problem, of course, is money. We worked diligently during this last budget process in order to cut a half-cent from our taxes. And here again, that's another reason I want to look at our half-cent sales tax to see if we can better appropriate some of the funds there in order to be able to do some of those sort of things. Since our half-cent sales tax is a living, breathing document that is more or less in concrete, we'd have to go back to the voters for anything that we would do as far as major changes in that. And that's what I want to review. Hopefully we can come up with some way of saving in one area in order to do those sort of things. You know, things just like flushing the commode. Most people don't realize that they're using in between 20 and 30 gallons of water every time they do that. They make toilets now that are much more conservative, just like the ones here at the convention center. The urinals here are waterless. So.
You mentioned about the half-cent sales tax, and one of your ideas has been to try to appropriate a portion of that in order to improve streets. Talk about what your ideas are.
Well, here again, because it is in stone, because it was voted on by the citizens of San Angelo, any major changes would have to go back to them for approval. The way that it's set up, it's basically a perpetual half-cent sales tax. In order for us to use it for streets or something that's more or less infrastructure oriented, we would only be able to do that for about 4 years. And that's what I want to review. How far can we get with the monies that we would get within those 4 years to improve our streets? Along with the fact that I live in Paul Ann Addition and over on Hughes Street in Colwell, there are continually sand trucks going down through there that get on Houston Hart, on Bryant, and go out from there. So we're continually having more and more traffic on our streets that, we have to look at it now just like our water situation. If someone didn't have the forethought to look at it, then we wouldn't have the water coming our way to help us out. Same thing with our streets. If we don't look to the future and address it now, it'll cost millions and millions of dollars. You can pay me now, you can pay me later, you have to pay me. So
obviously it takes a lot of money, but if money weren't an issue, what were the sort of things that you would like to target as far as the improvement of our streets?
Of course, the major thoroughfares without proper maintenance just continue to get rougher and rougher and deteriorate. Our seal coating process is more or less like a coat of paint on your house. If you keep that house painted, the wood never rots. If you fail to do that, then over time that wood rots away. Well, our streets are the same way. If we don't have a good seal coating process to where when they first start cracking, the underlying support for them deteriorates, then you have to go all the way back down, start with your limestone base and build up from there.
You mentioned about sand trucks, and I'm curious as to what your thoughts and evaluations are as how the Klein Shale oil development is impacting San Angelo.
Well, like I said, anyone that's ever had to sit on Bryant or Knickerbocker or any other of our cross streets when a train goes by is impacted by it. We have all trains that come through. We have sand trains that come through. On my way over here just now, there was at least a 30-car train that had traffic stops. So, it's definitely impacting us. Economically, you can look at the hotels that are being built, the proposals for apartments that are here, the expansions of apartments, those sort of things. So I think housing is being impacted somewhat. I think we're on the peripheral of it. Hopefully, good things will come as far as jobs. And so with that, once again, our infrastructure is so important so that we don't have to worry about, with the influx of people, having the water in the streets and everything that it takes to serve them as the community that we want to be.
So in your mind, that's the key to managing any sort of impact that the development is having on San Angelo, is ensuring that we have as strong an infrastructure that can support those extra people?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The people won't come if they can't drive down the street without hitting the curb because their car's going sideways because of the bumps, or they can't take a shower because there's no water. Those sort of things are paramount.
One of the other issues that has come before the council recently that's related to that is a moratorium on the development of new RV and mobile home parks. Talk about why you supported that moratorium and what you're expecting as you move forward on that issue.
Well, a lot of that ordinance had been pretty much outdated. I'm not sure we don't need to look at more of our ordinances that have been around for a while. You know, we're looking at some of our property that we lease because it hadn't been looked at since the 80s. This is one that was more or less in the same bailiwick as far as I'm concerned. We needed to look at the difference in people that were living in RVs temporary, people that were living in RVs permanently, people that were going to be here during the winter or the summer, and then on top of that, you also have your mobile home parks. And so, to me, you can't just wave a magic wand and make a good decision and make a good document overnight. It just takes time.
You were a proponent and you were the instigator of a recent nighttime meeting that the City Council had. I was wondering what your reaction was as far as the attendance of that, and do you anticipate pushing for more of those?
Yes, I was thrilled that there was as much attendance as there was. You know, I know that the majority of the people that we serve are working people. It's difficult to get off to see your local government at work, you know, somewhere between 9 and 4, which our council meetings normally are. So I think it's only, once again, a service to our community to have it. So if a dad wants to bring his fourth grader to the meeting to kind of see how the government works, then that's an awesome thing to do.
How often would you like to have a nighttime meeting?
I think at least once a quarter would be really good. You know, as a school board trustee, they were all in the evenings. But, you know, baby steps on this thing. I'd like to see once a quarter, see what our attendance is, and then we can go from there.
If your constituents or any citizen wants to get in contact with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
My name and number's in the phone book. That's the easiest way. It's 655-6866. My home number, I have an answering machine on there if I'm not there, and I always call somebody back.
We've been talking with Councilman Don Vardeman. He represents District 4 on our City Council, and we hope you'll join us for the next episode of The City.